probably the craziest thing, it's not really that crazy, is cow tongue tacos. Those are pretty common, and they were all right. Didn't taste bad. They were chewy, but I was in the midst of a few police chases. My companion and I, on preparation day, we were driving two other elders around, dropping each other off at the grocery store and different things like that. And this was in Indianapolis, and we were turning left at a light. We were behind this Jeep, and across the intersection was a police car about to turn right. When our light turned green and the Jeep went, we were following, and the police officer cut us off and just like started going after the guy, and like the chase was on right there, and it happened right in front of us, and we're like, whoa. And my companion was driving, and he was someone who enjoyed thrills, and so he punched it and started going after them. And as we were driving along, it didn't take long before we saw two more officers pulling out of a driveway. And then we looked in the rearview mirror and realized, oh man, and we had to pull over as two more shot past us at high speeds. Don't know how fast they were going. And they went down towards a major intersection. Before they got there, they turned right down a smaller road. And at the major intersection, we could see more police officers just shooting down there. And we were like, whoa, what's going on here? So we drove, and they were all going so fast that we kind of lost them. But as we were still driving, we came to a large field, which is where a lot of people park their RVs for the Indianapolis 500. We looked across that field, and we saw plenty of cars, police cars going right over there. So we went and drove around, and the driver had crashed into the fence of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and was surrounded by about 25 police cars. And we were almost cut off by the car that started the chase, and it was exciting. And about a year later, maybe a little longer, I was in another town. It was Elwood, small, itty bitty little town, and my companion and I had both gone through the worst day of our mission. Everything went wrong that day. We got rejected by everyone we spoke to. We got sworn at a few times. We saw a cat get hit by a car that day, and we saw just everything that could go wrong. All of our appointments canceled, even the people that never canceled. And we thought, what is going on? With about an hour left in the day, we decided to visit a member, and we talked with him and had a good experience there, and that was really nice. But then it was about 9:00, so we had to go. So we got on our bikes and started heading back towards our apartment. And Elwood has two major roads, and they cross right in the middle of it. We were on the northwest side of the city, and we had to get to the southwest side of the city. It's not a huge city, so it was more like a 10-minute, 15-minute bike ride. But we were following the two major roads, and as we got onto the major one, the first one, we heard sirens everywhere, and all of a sudden police cars were just like going back and forth through the neighborhood all around us, and we thought, what is going on? There was another chase. And so since it was such a small town, nothing exciting ever happened. Everyone was coming out to their front porch to watch, and so like the entire town was watching this police chase going on, and these two missionaries just like trying to bike home. And we eventually made it back to our apartment without any problems. But yeah, that was an exciting experience to end the day on. Turned out the guy had stolen a car from a nearby city, and led the police all the way up to Elwood, and apparently went around the neighborhoods a few times before they got him. I don't know how they ended up getting him, but it was an exciting day. There were several times where we would try to teach lessons to like a specific commitment. There was a family that we taught. They were the Ramirez family. They were my favorite family on the mission. We found them my first time in Lafayette. And then every time I came back to Lafayette, I was able to keep on teaching them. And help them, and they eventually got baptized, which was great. I'm hoping to see them this summer when I go to Indiana for the dedication. But one day, they were a great family, and basically from the moment we started teaching them, we could tell that they were going to get baptized. They just had they were just ready for it, and it took them a while to finally commit to do that. But you could tell right away that was where they were going to be. So as we were teaching them, it was my second time in Lafayette. We really wanted to focus them on that commitment to get baptized, and we wanted them to not only make the commitment but to do it with the Spirit. And I remember that it was one of the most crafted out, planned out lessons that I ever taught on my mission. And I don't remember all of the details, but it finished with Alma 5:62, which basically says, if you want the joy of the tree of life, what is stopping you from taking the steps of baptism? Something along those lines. I can't remember the exact words. But that was basically what we had built our entire lesson up to. And when we got there, and we read that scripture, the Spirit just, filled the room, and you could just see that it hit all of them. And the family made the commitment that day to get baptized because they felt it. Now there were a lot of bumps along the way after that, but that was, I think, one of the more instrumental lessons that we had in helping them actually get there, which was a big deal for them and for us. Juggling. I kind of knew how to juggle before my mission. At least I knew the mechanics behind it, but I hadn't really put a lot of effort into it. And then during our lunch breaks, it was a 2-hour lunch break. We would work for 4 hours in the morning, have a 2-hour break, and then 4 hours in the evening. And sometimes you just had a lot of free time during that. And we had tennis balls in the apartment, and so I just get 3 of those and start working on it. And in 2 weeks, I figured out how to juggle, and I've had that skill ever since. My last transfer was a rough transfer all around. I was called to train in an area called Goshen, and my companion refused to learn Spanish. Just completely refused to learn it, which was really frustrating, of course. Trying to train a guy to be a good missionary, and he doesn't even want to speak the language that he's been called to speak in, and that's not an enjoyable thing to put up with. And so that was really hard for those first 2 weeks. It was basically all on me to speak to people, which, as we mentioned before, I didn't like doing. But I was actually able to do it. That was like the only time in my mission where I was completely confident whenever I spoke with people, which that was great. That was a really important blessing because it was the only time it ever happened. But yeah, for those 2 weeks, I could not get him to speak Spanish, and he adamantly refused because of a traumatizing experience that he had with someone who spoke Spanish, and so that automatically made him hate the language. So after about 2 weeks, my mission president decided to just emergency transfer us because if he wasn't going to learn Spanish, there was really no point in him being in a Spanish area. But that meant that even though we had just reopened that area, we were closing it down again, which, I really didn't feel good. I didn't feel good about that because we had made progress with some people that hadn't had the chance to even hear it for a while. But we had to shut it down because of that. So I was emergency transferred back to Lafayette again. It's my 3rd time there. And I was put with my 2 favorite companions from before. So that was just really exciting. Favorite area, 2 favorite companions. I was so excited to finish off my mission there. But after 3 days, I got a call and said, Elder Heath, someone else is deciding to go home, and you're the extra missionary right now. So will you go down to this English area and fill that spot? So I accepted, but that meant that I had to go teach in English. And since I hadn't done that my whole mission, I actually didn't know how to do that. I knew I had it down in Spanish, but 2 years of not teaching in English means you lose the skills and you don't know how to do it. And so that was just really hard. I had a great companion for that for the last 4 weeks of my mission there, but it was really hard for me to do it. I had a hard time talking to people. The ease that I had to talk with people for the first 2 weeks was gone for the last 4, and that was just a really, really hard experience. And I felt like, what a lousy way to finish my mission, right? But I learned a lot. I learned a lot from it that I needed to learn. Be social. I was not very good at being social when I got back. Give yourself a few weeks to get reaccustomed to the schedule, to the fact that you're not living all the mission rules anymore. Give yourself some time for that, but then be social. Don't shy away from those chances to go talk with people and hang out with people. I feel it's important not to rush into that, but also not to delay that. And I was on the extreme of delaying that, and it took me way too long to get used to people again. And I wish I'd been better at that. I took things really seriously when I got back, and you don't have to. Life is still fun. Life is still good. Not everything you do is as important every second of the day as it was on your mission, but you can still make it a really good experience.